So my advice to voice teachers who want to transition from teaching maybe in their local community to moving up into teaching world-renowned singers, and I don't know if the word is moving up, but moving laterally maybe into teaching more prominent and world-renowned singers, is to understand that the world that that singer lives in is different than the world that the singer that you lives in your community lives in. And by that I mean, oftentimes with singers that I work with that are world-renowned, their pressures and what their agenda is for taking voice lessons is very, very different than what the agenda and the reason is for somebody in your community. And so if you just know the difference, you can make that adjustment. It's called student-centered learning and student-centered teaching. So regardless of its, whether it's a singer in your community or whether it's a world-renowned singer, they all have objectives and they all have needs that are individual and unique. It's just that when you're talking about somebody that's world-renowned and spending their time either touring or recording, and then they're getting off a tour or recording and they go through the cycle, what they're going through is different than somebody who is 16 or 17 and developing their voice and working on getting through high school and having a developed voice by the time they finish high school. So the things that you work on there are much different than the things that you would work on with somebody who has already developed their voice, they're already established. And also remember that many times world-renowned singers have never studied. So they'll come in for a voice lesson and it's the first voice lesson they've ever had in their life. And so the way you approach that is very different than a voice lesson that you're giving somebody for the very first time that's just in your community. There's a whole different agenda that needs to take place in understanding the pressures of somebody that is touring, already has a record deal, already has a fan base, already has millions in sales, and the pressures that they have, because you got to remember that they have management, they have agents, they have musicians, and they've got promoters, and everybody that's relying on them to continue what they're doing to maintain revenue for all of them, and which pays for everyone else's rents and everyone else's families and everything else. And so what you do for that singer is to keep them doing what they're doing, where what you're doing for a singer who's young is actually helping them shape their sound, find their sound. So there's two very, very different agendas. And it's very important that especially as somebody starts to find their sound, whether they're professional at that moment or not, you do not get in the way and interrupt what happens with their sound. Your job is to help them maintain the artistic integrity of what they're doing rather than replace that.